So we do like 3 recipes. We announce the meal plan. Talk about food. We can call it real meal TV, real time. Well, it's like a reel because it's real meal, and then it's real because it's like the reel of the camera. Time because it's time with me, but time's also a herb. Welcome to another episode. The meal plan for this week is clean and green. That is 7 days of nothing but the green list. And from that meal plan, I'm going to cook you 3 recipes: Jamaican baked jerk fish, chicken livers peri peri, and then a recipe from the kids book, Raising Superheroes or Superfood for Superchildren, called Green Eggs and Ham, named after the Dr. Seuss book. So the meal plan this week is based on the green list, which is a list of really nutrient-dense, low-carb foods in our original book, The Real Meal Revolution. And the idea behind the green, orange, and red list comes from SASI, which is the South African Sustainable Seafood Institute, which is a WWF initiative. And when I was working in restaurants back in 2003, they launched an initiative to educate consumers on what fish they could eat to support sustainable fishing practices. So all of the red listed fish were fish that were being overfished, and everything on the green list was supposedly safe, and orange was sort of maybe go slow, kind of like a traffic light. So when we wrote Real Meal Revolution, I wanted to have the same idea applied to the foods we eat that will help us lose weight or improve our health. And that's what gave birth to the green, orange, and red list. A few years later, we wrote this book, Real Meal Revolution 2.0, and we refined those lists after having quite a lot of feedback and many debates. It took us forever. In fact, it took us so long that on my birthday, the publishers gave me this framed original version of the lists with scribbles and categories and arrows going everywhere. It came with a little Harvey Specter quote on the back as well. 97% of the people who gave up are employed by the 3% who never gave up. Harvey Specter. So if you look at the green list, you'll see there are a few categories. There's fruit and vegetables, drinks, proteins, condiments, fertilizers, and fats. And basically each one of them has a few criteria. So a lot of people think that our green list is based on 5 grams of carbs per 100 grams or less, I think. But the idea is that these are low carb ingredients and low carb vegetables. There's nothing expensive and way out there. When you look at drinks, you'll see that it's caffeine-free herbal teas, flavored waters, and that's not flavored with cordial, that's flavored with like a slice of fruit. Obviously sparkling water will give you a little bit of texture if you're missing the sweetness. And finally, normal water. Now, I know that might seem tough to go and give up all those things, but that's what we're designed to drink. So it's kind of like weird that we rely so heavily on fizzy drinks. Anyway, moving on to proteins. Proteins, all meat, all fish, all seafood, and all offal, which is also meat, but some people think that is a different type of thing. Nutrient dense. And then condiments, vinegars, mustards, olive oils, seasonings like herbs and spices. Those are all available and you can eat them to your heart's content. And then this little section over here called fertilizers. These are foods that we think either rebuild the gut lining, like bone broth, for instance, which is full of collagen and a whole lot of minerals, or foods that are good for impregnating, is it impregnating? Impregnating the gut biome. Good for your gut bacteria. So things like sauerkraut and fermented foods, coconut, yogurt, kefir, milk kefir, kimchi, and naturally fermented pickles. So those are called fertilizers because you got to fertilize the garden to keep it blooming. And then fats. These are not fats like canola oil and sunflower oil. These are fats like butter, coconut oil, animal fat, and then fruit oils. So oils that are pressed from the seeds of fruits, and olives actually a fruit. Who knew? So that's the green list. When we're deciding what to put on the green list, it's not just about carb count. And I'll give you a perfect example. Garlic is 33% carbohydrates, and sweet potato is 20% carbohydrates. But sweet potato we put on the orange list because you're likely to eat a whole sweet potato, in which case you may actually end up having too many carbs. Whereas there's no ways you're going to smash a whole head of garlic. And even if you do, I hope you only do that once every now and then for the sake of your friends and family. So 1 clove of garlic is not going to ruin your day or push blood sugar through the ceiling. And these are things that we've taken into consideration. So it is a chef's take on low carb diets, but our whole take is that it should be delicious and sustainable, and not necessarily sustainable, or not only sustainable for the environment, but sustainable for you. And life without garlic's just, oh, stink. If you want these lists, remember you can download them for free. Just follow the link in the information section below. And if you want this meal plan, head on over to realmealrevolution.com. Sign up. We release a fresh meal plan every single week. So this week's meal plan is called Clean and Green, and it is 7 days of only green listed recipes. So the dinners you're looking at are chicken livers peri peri, my favorite fiery beef salad, Jamaican jerk baked fish, some Parmesan chicken pieces with smoky moly sauce, beef and collie mash cottage pie, some smoky belly ribs with red slaw on your Saturday night, and for Sunday, a very light supper of gammon and mustard pickled cabbage rolls. So the first thing you're going to do is preheat the oven to 200. Then we're going to cut our fish into portions. About 200 grams a portion should be fine. Then we're going to pop them into a well-oiled baking tray or lasagna dish. Now we're going to whip together that jerk. So you're going to take your dry spices, allspice, peppercorns, cloves, and pepper, ginger. We're going to pound these together. Okay, now I'm going to tip these into a jug. And I'm going to add in the chilies, and the garlic, and the ginger, and the lime juice, and some onion, and the herbs, the thyme and the coriander. The reason I'm chopping this coriander is because if you don't, when these stems get cut up by the stick blender, they wrap around and they become fibrous, and you end up getting knots of coriander. And of course the magic ingredient, a double shot of dark rum. The recipe calls for xylitol. I don't really like xylitol, I'm leaving it out. Good glug of olive oil. And of course the spices. We're going to blitz it all into a nice paste. Okay, it probably needs a little bit of seasoning. Okay, that's perfect. Now we can pour this over the fish. So you get your fish, just pour the marinade over, and then use your hands just to spread it over nicely. I'm going to bang this in the oven for 10 minutes. While that's baking away, I'm going to make shaved radish and cucumber salsa. So finely diced cucumber, and some finely chopped onions, and some finely diced celery, some shaved radish. I'm going to leave the top on because that's what I'm going to use as my grip on the mandolin. And a nice big handful of chopped mint. Mix that all together, add in a good twist of lime, and a massive glug of olive oil, and a crack of salt. And just leave that for a couple minutes while the fish is baking. Oh my goodness.